Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are going to check out some of these brand new Toymonster International hatchling captives. And when I say some, what I actually mean is all of them, because we're going to review the entire lineup of this wave, the very first wave, maybe the only wave, I don't know if there's going to be more, hopefully there is because I actually love these, but of the hatchling captives from Jurassic World, and they all look honestly phenomenal. I would say very easily the best captives that we've ever had, not just because of how nice the sculpts are, but I mean the sculpts are great for hatchlings, but also because the paint apps are insane on these, like so unreasonably good for the type of figure that they are. Now, of course, seeing as we are going to review the entire lineup of these right now, we're probably going to be moving a little bit quicker than we usually do with the figures. We're not going to go so in depth on each and every one because then the review would be ages long, but we will go over each and every one of them as best we can as we move through at a decent pace. So rather than me rambling, let's get to it right now with a closer look. So we might as well go through with the Raptor squad straight away. This one here would be Charlie, and you can see they've done a very good job of replicating the tones of color for Charlie, as well as the design when it comes to a hatchling version. And that's one thing that Toymonster International is really good at. That's listening to the fans. They do a very good job of listening to us. If we have any critiques, they always listen. They try to improve consistently. It's very admirable of them to have that quality because not many companies do. So you can see when it comes to these hatchlings, I would say they're probably some of the best we've ever seen sculpted paint-wise, especially when it comes to minifigures like this, but also when it comes to really capturing the likeness of the dinosaurs. Now, of course, it's not perfect because it's kind of an exaggerated hatchling style, but when it comes to a hatchling version of Charlie, I think it's a pretty darn cool looking version. You can see she has her mouth in an open position. We've got the tongue sculpted out on the inside of the mouth. Nice realistic tone of color there for the inside of the mouth. All the teeth are sculpted individually. They're all painted very nicely, which is also a plus. You know, you can see looking at this that I don't really see any sloppiness, and that's really saying something considering these are mass-produced figures. We've got a really nicely painted eye with a black kind of slit-like pupil, and you also have a darker variation of like a green that borders around the eye and heads up toward the nostrils. You can see the nostrils themselves sculpted there. And then as you move down, you've got this really nice kind of striping effect moving along the back of the raptor. And then we lead down. We've got, again, those beautiful tones of green. Really smooth transitions as well. Like, just look at the transition from the green to that kind of off-white there for the lower jaw. It doesn't get smoother and more naturalistic than that. And again, you do have that lighter tone here moving along the underside. You can see all of the nails are painted very nicely. The nails on the fingers, the nails on the feet, the sickle claw. We don't have dew claws, but the figure's so small, I didn't really expect much as far as dew claws go. But you can see the fingers look quite nice as far as the sculpts go. You've got kind of like scoots moving down the fingers. Same deal pretty much for the feet. Again, considering the size of these figures and what they are, they're very nicely detailed, and you can see that the actual texturing of the skin looks really quite nice as well. And we have a very adorable looking curve to the tail as you lead out. So as a whole, that is an absolutely awesome looking figure. And you also do have that brand here. It's branded with that JP logo, which is also something that's almost like a trademark of the Captivz line at this point. But you can see that is an absolutely incredibly cool hatchling version of Velociraptor Charlie. And then we have Delta. Now, if memory serves me correctly, Delta was one of the rare figures along with Echo. You can see Delta is the same sculpt as Charlie was, but we have a very different tone of green for the body of this one. Similar as far as the design goes, kind of with like the green and then the lower jaw being an alternate tone. We have more of a gray for the lower jaw here, and you can see they've given this a really nice wash to really bring the detail out, really make it pop. Also makes Charlie look like he's been playing in the dirt, which I also quite like. But you can see, again, we also have these darker tones that start up there on the top of the head and then kind of stripe and design moving along the back and out there onto the tail. Really nice striping effect there on the tail. And of course, it's always awesome to see coloration from head to tail on a dinosaur figure. You also see that coloration kind of running down here along the side of both the leg as well as the arm. And you do have painted nails. Yet again, the dark wash has been applied to the nails as well. Same deal with the nails here for the hands. And again, the inside of the mouth has that really nice coloration, a nice pinkish tone. You again have the teeth all sculpted out and painted very nicely. The eye has a bigger pupil on this one than Charlie did, but similar as far as the tone with the yellowish tone and everything. So Delta looks pretty similar to Charlie, but very different as far as the tones of color used, and also includes that nice dark wash. Then we've also got Velociraptor Blue. Now, Velociraptor Blue has a really cool design, very different sculpt than the others, of course. And what's cool about this is, again, with just a minifigure, look how good of a job they did as far as giving it such a really nice paint job for something like this. Like, that's very impressive paintwork for a really cool minifigure like this. You got a really cute look here to the face. The mouth is closed on this one. Obviously, it's kind of crouched down with the hand touching, and almost looks like it's about to try to lunge up, maybe in a playful way, maybe in a way to kind of bite somebody, I don't know. But you've got a really nicely painted eye with a nice black slit-like pupil. You've got the nostrils, and you can see the nostrils are highlighted with a darker tone. And even though the mouth is closed, the teeth are showing, and yes, all of the teeth are painted, and painted very nicely. And you can see, as far as blue goes, you would like to see the blue kind of lead up and under the eye on this side and then lead out into the palette. That's exactly what we see here. Not only do we have the blue, but we also have the white outline around the blue, which is also how you see Velociraptor Blue's coloration in the films. And you can see that that runs from head to tail, and again, just looks incredible. We even have some of the blue leading off here, exactly as it does. You know, it kind of areas like you'll have a little extra blue leading along that stripe on Velociraptor Blue, and they've even applied that here. We also have the nails again painted with a dark gray, and everything absolutely looks incredible on this figure. The brand here, that Jurassic logo, is here on the underside of the throat for this one rather than up on the body, and you can see that the blue stripe ends and cuts off short here before the eye on the correct side, exactly as it does on Velociraptor Blue in the films. So Velociraptor Blue also looks awesome. And Echo shares the same sculpt as Blue, so you can see that Echo has that same sort of a look to her, but you can also see that they've actually managed to capture the coloration of Echo correctly, which is something that it seems almost nobody can do, and Toymonster International absolutely have done that with the really nice kind of light brownish tones and those gorgeous bluish tones that we have here. And you can see they just kind of stripe and design, and you know, they show up all over the place. They also have kind of a shiny look to them, which really helps them to stand out. You also have some of that blue there around the eye. The eye yet again painted with a yellow and a black pupil, and you can see the lighter tone, which is like a light gray, takes over like a large portion of the face on this one. And there's also a lot of like really nice details shown because we've got a beautiful dark wash present on this, similar to what we had on Delta, and you can really see how nice the detail looks as you move through the course of the figure. It's amazing how really cool looking these are, but how they've still applied a really highly detailed paint job to them and added elements of like a lifelike appearance to them, making them look really quite realistic and alive at the same time that they look exaggerated and kind of, you know, childlike and goofy. So really cool looking version of Echo as well, and I'm so hyped to have a really cool version of Echo because Echo's one of my favorite raptors from any of the Jurassic films. We've also got ourselves a Triceratops. The Triceratops is quite adorable because it's sitting down. You can see that we've got some nice variation of color as we have greens and grays through the course of the body. And look at how smooth and subtle that paintwork is as you move through the frill. You can see that there's like a green striping moving through the frill, and it's super subtle, really light, and super impressive. It's almost something that you don't even notice how smooth and realistic that paint application is on the face. The eyes are also painted nicely with a yellow and then a black pupil. You've also got the nostrils sculpted out, some really nice fine skin texture. The beak is painted with a light gray. You can see the mouth is partially open. You can also see the horns are painted with that similar light gray, and you also have more of those light grays kind of moving along the frill with those spikes and stuff, and of course the nails. And look at how good the paintwork is. Again, for these being just random, like, you know, surprise egg minifigures, look at how careful and precise and crazy impressive the paintwork of these figures are. And you can again see as we have, you know, more of that variation of greens and grays here moving along the back. It is just unreasonably impressive how good these are. And again, the very adorable seated position of the Triceratops looks good from this side as well. You've got a nice twist here or turn in the tail, just for that extra added bit of cuteness to the figure. We've also got everyone's favorite ankylosaurus. We have Bumpy, and what's interesting about this is originally I thought that this was the same Bumpy we had prior, and it was getting a re-release, but if we actually bring the older Bumpy in, you can see they are actually very different. The head sculpt is different, the size of the eye is different, even the actual paint application is a bit different as far as like the way it's applied. It does look really cool though, and definitely something that I'm really happy to have in the Captivz line returning. You can also see the older one was quite a bit larger, but I will say I am definitely partial to this one. One thing straight away, you can see that the spike here on the back of the head, the little horn, is correct on the original Bumpy, whereas this one is kind of like Bumpy, but you can see that that spike is actually complete, so it's more like just a regular Ankylosaurus with the Bumpy colors. So it's a little bit different. Definitely a little more partial to the original one, but this is also really cool to have another version out, and you can see again that we've got the really nice bluish tones. We've got a light sort of off-white there circling around the eye. The eye is a darker gray with a black pupil, and even includes a nice white spot there to kind of give you that eye shine, showing you again that Toymonster International go above and beyond to give you an incredible figure. We've also got the beak sculpted out. You can see the nostrils. You can also see the inside of the mouth is painted a pinkish tone. Even though it's incredibly small, they still painted the inside of the mouth. And all of the areas here of the back are all given that kind of light coloration there to creep in and out of all of the armored areas moving along, the kind of scoots and stuff that you see. They're all painted and all painted really nicely. Even as you lead out into that club tail, you can see the club tail has a grayish tone, and then all of the detail and moving down here, we move and transition from the bluish tone into kind of like a greenish tone as you move down into the feet. The nails are painted as well, and you can see kind of a playful stance to the dinosaur as the one foot is kind of up off the ground a little bit. And again, just looking absolutely incredible, just unbelievably gorgeous figures for what these are. Then we've got ourselves the Pteranodon, and the Pteranodon has a really cool turn to its head. It's looking back at us, definitely sporting that kind of Jurassic World coloration as far as the Pteranodon goes, so we clearly know what this one is meant to be based off of. But you can see that we've got some greenish tones, we've got like some reddish tones leading up into the crest of the Pteranodon. Very smooth transition out into the beak as far as that greenish tone returning. You've got the nostrils sculpted there, very nicely painted eyes with a yellow and a black pupil. You can see the Pteranodon's kind of looking up, and as you lead through, look here in the wings. Look at how unreasonably impressive that paintwork is. Like, you have variation of color here in the wings with kind of like slightly reddish tones and sort of like khaki tones, and it's super smooth. Like, these are easily, far and away, no questions asked, the best minifigures that I've ever seen when it comes to paintwork in the Jurassic line, potentially of any dinosaur line I've ever seen. You can also see the nails are painted there, and painted very nicely with a black. You've got that Jurassic logo right there on the chest of our Pteranodon. And again, it looks absolutely incredible from every angle. I like that it's kind of seated, or well, not really seated actually, but on all fours as it's landed and maybe preparing to try to fly. The Pteranodon as well, again, is absolutely phenomenal. Trying to move as quickly as I can to try to get through all of these. There's so many in this line. We've also got the Nasutoceratops, and even though the Nasutoceratops doesn't quite sport the tones of color that you see on the baby Nasutoceratops in Jurassic World, specifically Jurassic World Dominion or Battle at Big Rock, but it does have the coloration that you see on the adult Nasutoceratops, which I think is really cool because I'm a pretty big fan of that color scheme. We have the nice grayish tones with those reds kind of moving through, and the reds have a nice kind of satin shine, so they really show off those reds in comparison to those grayish tones. You've got a really nicely painted eye with a yellow and then a black pupil, as well as a white spot, again to give it that eye shine. The horns are painted with sort of an off-white, same deal here for the beak, which also looks really cool. And then again, the nails are painted. Our Nasutoceratops is standing nice and firm right here, not really moving or doing anything, except it has a nice little twist to the head here, kind of a tilt and a turn to the head to look toward its right, and again looks absolutely adorable here with the Jurassic logo on the chest yet again. But definitely love this. You can also see some really nice fine detail to it as well as far as the skin texture and everything goes. But again, incredibly nice looking Nasutoceratops. I would say probably one of my favorite figures in this line. You've also got the Indominus Rex, and he looks also quite adorable, but pretty fierce and ferocious. You've got kind of like a red-orange eye with a black pupil, and then again a white spot to give it that eye shine, a little black circling the eye. We also have a grayish tone, but I also see kind of like a greenish wash. So it kind of almost looks like our baby Indominus here is trying to learn how to camouflage like it does in Jurassic World, because it's kind of giving off those greenish vibes, which I think is really cool. You can see all the scoots and stuff here moving along the back of the Indominus, again, exactly as you see on the dinosaur in the film, and you can see all the skin texture is really nicely highlighted. We even have the beginning areas of some of those quills leading off of the back of the arm. You can see the mouth is sculpted in an open position, really nice realistic tone of color for the inside of the mouth, as well as a nicely sculpted tongue. All of the teeth, yet again, are sculpted individually, and they are all painted very nicely. Absolutely no sloppiness that I'm seeing on this figure anywhere. The nails are painted yet again, and you have a nice curve in the tail to just give you a little extra life for your Indominus. So awesome yet again. We've also got ourselves a little baby Rexy, as we have the T-Rex here, and I don't think that the head's exactly in the right spot. Maybe it turns like that. Got to line it up. There we go. I think it's correct now. But you can see the T-Rex has a really nice appearance to it. I kind of feel like it does resemble a Jurassic Park T-Rex in its own way. So that's pretty cool. You can also see some nice brownish tones there moving along the top, really smoothly transitioning to a lighter tone as you move down. The mouth is sculpted in a closed position, but each and every tooth is sculpted out and painted again perfectly. Extremely, extremely impressive as far as that goes. The eye is painted perfectly on this side. You can see the nails there sculpted out on those very small Rex hands. And of course you can see the T-Rex is just kind of standing there, but I like that it's in almost like an ode to the old school, as we have kind of like a tripod position for our T-Rex that it's currently standing in. The tail is touching, and you can see again that nice brown running along the back. You can even see that striping that you would see on Rexy moving along the back, but then you see these lighter tones for the underside, and then again the really cool sculpts of the feet, really nicely painted nails. We again have some information on the underside of the Rex. There it is. There's the Jurassic World logo here on our baby T-Rex. Not a whole lot going on with our little Rexy, but it absolutely looks adorable, and definitely again another fantastic addition to this line. We've also got the Stegosaurus, and the Stegosaurus is definitely one of my favorites as well. He just looks super, super cute, and again, really smooth transitions from the darker greens to these lighter greens of the underside. Insanely impressive, and you can also see the gray eye with a black pupil, and again, a nice white spot to insinuate eye shine. We've got like some scoots over the top of the eye that are highlighted nicely with a light kind of a creamy color. You've got a gray beak there for our Stegosaurus, and as you move back into the body, you can see the feet transition to a gray down there on the feet. First one that doesn't have any specifically painted nails, but I would think that the point of this is that the nails are gray to go with the coloration of the feet. You can also see a few more kind of spots here painted on the side of the Stegosaurus. The plates as well are painted, and you can see that there is a darker wash that's been applied to bring out some of the detail very nicely. It's very subtle as far as that dark wash goes, though. Not as intense as you see on a lot of other figures, but it is definitely there. And again, sculpt-wise, it looks adorable. It's got one foot up as it's kind of walking forward. I just want to grab the Stegosaurus and just give it a big hug. It looks so cute. And you can see the Thagomisers are out here at the end of the tail and everything. So really, really cool looking Stegosaurus as well. We are getting to the last few, as we've got the Parasaurolophus, and the Parasaurolophus is standing here in all its glory in Lost World Jurassic Park colors, I would say, which is really cool. Yet again, you can see a nice darker wash applied to this one to give nice elements of realism, but also make the detail pop pretty nicely. We've got that brown stripe moving along the back, two brown stripes actually. We've also got this orangish tone here running along the back of the Parasaurolophus. Again, the striping leads all the way up there to the head. You've got the crest and everything painted nicely with a brown that runs all the way down to the beak. The eye is painted with an orange, given a black pupil. Again, that nice white spot there to give it that eye shine. And again, you can see that dark wash is present through the entire figure. The Parasaurolophus is standing up on its hind legs. You can also see that it's got a really adorable little tilt in its head. Almost looks like it would be looking up at an adult, maybe for like some sort of information or something as to what it should do next. And you can also see that we've got nails painted and everything for the Parasaurolophus. This one as well is probably one of my favorites, I would say. I just love the Lost World Jurassic Park Parasaurolophus, and I think that this pretty nicely resembles a baby version. We've also got ourselves an Apatosaurus, and the Apatosaurus looks really good. This is actually one of the very first figures that I was able to get from these, as I had found some eggs at my local Five Below, and I actually had purchased a few of them just to kind of get a taste for them while I was waiting to get the entire wave, and absolutely fell in love with these figures straight away from this Apatosaurus. We've got some really nice greenish tones on this one. You've even got some really nice creasing there under the eye, blue eye, really nice black pupil, and again that white spot. You've also got the nostrils sculpted out there, and this one has a really gorgeous wash to it. Like, it's not overly applied or anything, like it's just nice and naturally and smoothly applied to give it the nice realistic, almost slightly dirty look, but also just have a little extra variation of color. You've got a really nice twist and turn in the neck for the dinosaur. You've got, again, this really cool design as you move through with this darker green playing off of the lighter green nicely, and that runs down into the legs and everything. The nails, yet again, are painted for our little Apatosaurus. You've got a super cool design for the texturing of the skin as you move down the course of the tail, with lots of, creasing and everything as you move down. You've got the Jurassic logo again over here in the back, and you can see that the dinosaur's just kind of taking a little step. This leg is in mid-movement here. You've got the elbow sculpted out, and again, all of the paintwork is applied so nicely, so naturally, and just looks, again, so beautifully on this figure. These things, honestly, I really feel like me just telling you about these is not going to do it justice. You need to see these in person. And the final one, of course, is my favorite because we've got the Carnotaurus. And the Carnotaurus looks super adorable here, very, very baby-like as he sits there on his little butt, and you can see his little arms are sticking out there, which is super cute. You can see a really nice, adorable look here to the face, a nicely painted eye, again, yellow, black pupil, nice white spot. You've got the little horns up here that are painted out with a light brown. A really smooth transition from a darker brown to a lighter brown here for the face, and then an even lighter tone as you move to the lower jaw. The mouth is sculpted in a closed position, and all of the teeth are sculpted individually, and again painted individually, very nice and carefully. We've got the nostrils sculpted out right there. If we move around to the other side of the head, you can again see how nice it all looks. And then, of course, you also have the classic sort of osteoderms moving down along the back of the Carnotaurus, as you would expect to see, especially when it comes to a Jurassic World version. And then we've got the really adorable legs here as it just sits there on its butt. The feet are sculpted very nicely. The nails are painted again with a light gray, and then we also have an adorable little curve to the tail right there. So the Carnotaurus is just as awesome, maybe even a little more awesome because he is a Carnotaurus than all the others. But as a whole, this is my new favorite line from the Captivz line. They've produced some really cool stuff, but never have I seen such insanely high quality figures for a Captivz line. They've always been really good, but these are honestly mind-blowing. Now, we are obviously not going to measure each and every one of these. The sizes are all over the place, but what we will do is bring in a standard-sized Captivz Giganotosaurus here for you to see what it looks like basically in comparison to these figures. So if we bring the Giga up front here and the Indominus, you can see that they are a little bit smaller in some cases than your average Captivz figure, but then when you look at others, like if we bring in the Velociraptor, you can see it's definitely a little bit larger than the Indominus, and even more so the Apatosaurus you can see is a bit larger. So they have, I think, more body mass on these hatchling versions, but overall the size of the original ones, might be a little tiny bit larger. And then the only other comparison I feel like we really need to do is a supersized Captivz. In case you have one of those, you can see obviously they are quite a bit larger than our hatchling Captivz here are. So these Toymonster International Captivz Jurassic World Hatchling figures are unreal. Like, I can't even begin to tell you how incredibly impressed I am with these figures, and I really hope that this is a sign of things to come moving forward for the Captivz line, showing you that the quality is through the roof on these. And again, like I said, it's always been like that in a way when it comes to the Captivz line, because even the regular Captivz are always super high quality and usually include almost like impressive model-like paint jobs to them. But these are just on another level as far as like the paintwork and the careful placement of the paintwork and the amount of tones of color added, and just how they have such a beautiful, fully finished appearance to them. They are seriously incredible when it comes to the paintwork. I've never seen minifigures that are more impressive than these are when it comes to the paint. On top of that, the sculpts are fantastic. Each and every one replicates the dinosaur it's meant to replicate in an adorable way, but where they sort of look like they could potentially be the dinosaurs you see in the films. As they get older, they could, grow into what we've seen on screen. And again, they all, on top of having that really nice, almost kind of like, looking like they could become the versions of the dinosaurs in the films appearance, they also have really nice fine detail to them. So even though we have incredibly highly detailed paint jobs, you also have incredibly highly detailed sculpts to go with those paint jobs. And if you consider the fact that these are kind of pop and lock figures, some of them sort of sport articulation because you can kind of twist and sort of spin some of the pieces around. So you have a little extra as far as that goes. But as I said, these are definitely the single best Captivz line that I've ever seen, and definitely my new favorites when it comes to the Captivz line overall. If you are interested in picking these up, head to your local Five Below, because that seems to be the place that you most often find these. I actually haven't really heard of too many other places that have had them, so I would definitely recommend Five Below. And I want to give a huge shout out and a thank you to both Toymonster International as well as Playwise Partners for sending these over to me so I could take a look at them with you guys here on the channel and show you how beautiful this line of Jurassic World figures really is. Hopefully we get another wave at some point soon, because there are plenty more species they could make, and I would love to see another line of these hatchlings. So make sure you grab these at your Five Below, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.